I was just saying, Craig, I've never looked forward to getting a shot so much in my life. To get the
I can imagine. I can imagine.
I feel like one of those TV cops who's like due for retirement 3 days, and he's afraid to go out he's afraid to go out on each call.
He's like, no, sit me at the desk until I'm done.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Like, being around people, I'm like, I'm so close to getting the second shot. The COVID.
I think I'm available to get mine in like 2 weeks. So
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed. I'll be able to get mine through work fairly soon. I mean, I would, just kind of keeping an eye on the news and everything. The ramp up and the rollout of the vaccines has just skyrocketed, in the past 2 weeks.
Well, they're saying that by May 1st, everybody should be eligible to get it at that point. So that's pretty awesome.
I know Walmart, the local Walmart here has the Johnson & Johnson shot, and they're doling it out already.
Nice.
Well, I probably just need to run up to a place like that and see if they'll do mine.
Yeah. Yeah, when I got to Pine Bluff, I mean, they never even questioned anything. They're like, checked my registration, checked me in, and that was it.
Give you the shot, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I may have to run up someplace and see if they'll do it.
I love that after all of that, after everything we've been through in the past year, now we're talking about, I may just need to run to my local spot and get this thing that's going to completely change our lives, or at least send our lives back to normal. Just how casual we're having this conversation. I'm not exaggerating. I've got literal goosebumps having it, because after everything we've been through, how shitty the past year is, just the fact that we're talking about this is, I'm just going to run to my local supermarket and maybe I can grab it there. That's huge.
I'm really just hoping we get enough people that will take it to get herd immunity.
Yeah.
I
think we will. I really do think we will. And that you're going to have some that don't, for a variety of reasons, but I think most people get it. You also have that special class of people who talk a lot of shit on the internet, but they absolutely go and do it without telling anybody.
Exactly.
It's so good, dude. I can't wait for, I was thinking about this the other day, for conventions to kick back up. There are certain things that I miss, and I know there's a lot of other folks who are, they have missed out on a lot. They have taken this a lot harder than maybe I have. But there's parts of it where I enjoy having the quote unquote excuse to not go out on the weekends and just stay at home with Raj, so to take things off the schedule. But I miss cons. I miss seeing our comics friends. I miss seeing you guys every week, in person. And it's got me, I'm hella hyped. I'm pumped to finally get moved past this. I'm grinning so big, my face kind of hurts. And not just because it's ugly. So, you know what else I'm hyped about?
Doing a podcast?
Yes, sir, with you beautiful bastards, because I love you. This is episode 168 of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. Welcome back. Glad to have both you guys and everybody who is listening to this little thing that we do. As always, I am Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
Matt Trogdon.
And I'm Craig Lance.
See, that cold open, I don't, it's not even a cold open, that natural open just put me in a good headspace. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to be talking about comics with you guys.
Sweet.
So I guess I want to keep that little part of that conversation going, though, since we're talking about cons and what we're going to do. What are you guys looking for? Is there an event? Is there an activity that you guys are the most looking forward to? In nerd culture, let's constrain it to that as far as when we're able to get back to going.
Obviously, the best answer to that is the ability to go see the Dune movie in the theater. Obviously, there's no better answer than that.
I'll kind of piggyback on that. Just being able to go to the theaters again and see movies again. Outside of that, sporting events, that sort of thing. Just looking really to start getting my life back to what it used to be.
Right. So for me, mine is art. I am so sick of ordering art through the internet and having some FedEx dude I don't know bring it to my house. I want to go to a con, flip open a portfolio on somebody's table, have a conversation with them about where they were at when they were drawing the thing, and go home with it. Like
and not worry about who else has touched the portfolio and what you might be, contracting from also touching the portfolio.
No, you should probably still have that concern.
I mean,
I'm gonna have like the Deadpool belt of hand sanitizer.
I mean, we're talking about cons here. COVID or no COVID. Yeah, you need to be concerned about.
I mean, I always wash my hands 1 billion times at cons, but
a lot of those nerds are stinky.
Don't be alienating like 50% of our audience, man.
But no, the art game it's all buying art has always been personal for me. Like that's what I love about it is how close you get to these people who make the things that we just really love, that we get together and talk about. So it's just the impersonalness, if that's even a word, of having to like just order it off of Instagram or go to their handlers through the way. I don't know. I'm so ready to just buy it face to face. So
yeah.
Got me all giddy. Well, how have you guys been other than like how excited we sound about the return to normalcy? Life going good?
Well, I'll tell you how I've been. Last week, I started hanging up some of my new artwork, since we're talking about artwork, in my office. And I have piles of shit everywhere in my office. And I tripped and fell and crashed in my office floor. Since then, it's pretty much, that was a good sign for how the week was going to play out. I should have just stayed in bed all week.
Oh, man.
So how did you manage to crash and burn in your office? Like you were on what were you standing on?
I just tripped over shit in my floor.
Oh.
With art in my hand.
So I'm imagining you fell into a big pile of like pops and hot toys.
I actually avoided most of it and hit my door to my library that's in my office. Yeah. So that's how my week started. And I should have just stayed in bed for the rest of the week.
When your hobbies, when your passions start to harm you.
Matt,
mostly that's my laziness that's starting to haunt me, because if I'd put the shit up when I bring it home, but instead I just find little places on my floor to pile it up until I only have a pathway to my desk.
Oh, man.
Matt, we're going to have to pull our resources and get Craig a life alert.
Let's say he's going to, I can see this in a few years. He's going to be on the episode of Hoarders. It all came to head when Craig broke a hip tripping over his Star Wars collection.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's only my office. It doesn't leave my office, but damn straight if my office isn't a hoarder's nightmare.
Well, how about you, Matt? How'd the week treat you? Hopefully you stayed on your feet.
Yeah. Just, trying to earn a living. That's about it. Trying to earn a living.
Yeah, I hear you there, buddy.
Big old facts. My week went. It's been a very hectic week between school and work and the legislative session that's still going on. Which for those of you at home who don't know, I'm in law school, so I'm doing a lot of work with the legislature. So it's been great. I say great. It's not been great, but I've just been really, really busy. It's been actually terrible in that aspect, but it is what it is. That's why God made alcohol and comics. But I have to get through this week, and then that
sounds like a really bad Southern, like Western song.
God made alcohol and comics.
Country song. Yeah. God made alcohol and comics.
It's the ABCs of life: alcohol, booty, and comics. It'll get you through some shit, let me tell you.
And God blessed comics with his own hands.
Right. But spring break, if I make it through this week, spring break is next week, and I'm excited about like having a day or two to just not do a damn thing but yard work. So
very nice.
Spring break, man.
I've got some leaves that still need picked up if you want to come over and pick up some leaves.
No, I'm good. I've got my own. I've got my own, thank you. I don't need to borrow those. I've got plenty. I think my nieces are going to come
them and
up.
Drop them off at your house.
That sounds like extra work. No, I think my nieces are going to come up, so we're going to play in the backyard and maybe go. I get to go take them to buy comics because that's always kind of the highlight of when they come up is me taking the girls to go get books for them. So
translated, Matt, his nieces are going to come up and they're going to go play in the backyard. Means the nieces are doing the yard work.
You damn Skippy. Yes, sir.
If they want comics, they will.
Right? Well, and I'll pay them for it. Like I'm not a monster. So, and like we're going to cook. It's going to be great. So, in the meantime, before all that happens, we got some work to do. We read some things this week. So why don't you guys fight amongst yourselves and decide who is going to drop their short stack on us first? Tell me 3 things that you read this week that you liked, you disliked, or that just kind of piqued your interest.
Okay, I'll go first since Matt's not fighting with me about it.
He's a lover.
I read Matt's a lover. I read Star Wars number 12, Marvel Comics, Charles Soule and Raymond Rosanas. This is taking place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And they actually have introduced Poe Dameron's parents, and we're getting the backstory on them. So that's really interesting. Also from Marvel Comics, I read Daredevil number 28, Chip Zdarsky and Mark Cicchetto. I am going to keep bringing this book up every month until you guys all DM me and tell me you've heard me and you're reading the damn book, because everybody should be reading this book. So,
second that.
Star Wars Adventures High Republic number 3, IDW, Daniel Jose Older, Harvey Talabo, and check out this name for a comic book artist, Pal Rodricks. I mean, that person was born and destined to be a comic book artist. Actually, I'm sorry, this was number 2, not number 3, but this is I talked about issue number 1 on the show. And if you remember, the kids were left in a bad spot. All the Jedi Padawan were surrounded by the Nihil, which are the bad guys in this new story they're doing. And Yoda and a pacifist Jedi show up to help them. And the pacifist Jedi's name is Bucket of Blood.
Nice.
and he's named that so because he is a healer and he likes to keep the buckets of blood inside of their body. So yeah, it was a pretty fun little story. It's written for it more of teenagers or younger kids, but still a lot of fun. So pick it up, read it, do those things.
I'm gonna have that Samuel L. Jackson song "Buckets of Blood" stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Which is a good song. It's not a bad thing. So
there you go.
Well, for my short stack, starting off mine, talking about one that's been a mainstay ever since issue number 1, The Immortal Hulk from Marvel, Al Ewing, Joe Bennett, Roy Jose, and in this one also an inker was Bella Dorino Bravo, Paul Mounts on colors. Man, this feels like we are on the very cusp of a major bounce back of the Hulk. It feels like they're like everybody's getting their shots in, and it feels like any moment now Hulk's going to regain himself and effing clean house.
Yeah,
just to build
it seemed like he was just about there in this episode or this issue.
Yeah, that man, really get the feeling we're on the cusp of something big here. Also on my short stack from Aftershock is number 2, Maniac of New York by Elliot Kalan and Andre Moody. Man, this is a really great story. I really dig this story. I recommend this one big time. Again, this is a crime story about a long active serial murderer in New York City that's been just one step ahead of the law the whole time. So check that out. Also from Marvel, number 4, Taskmaster, this series that we just keep bragging about. So much better than it deserves to be. Writer is Jed McKay, and artist is Alessandro Vitti. and the colorist is Guru Effects. One more issue of this one, too bad, because it is really, really fun to read.
Nice. Very cool.
And looking at this, I can't help but chuckle at Taskmaster's, some part of Taskmaster's costume. The fact that he's wearing the short sleeves on the tights shirt, it just cracks me up, man. I mean, that's just, you don't ever see that, a short, so
it's great. There are very few things about what's happening in that book that's not great.
Yeah.
Both of those last two books you talked about, I'm gonna have to pick up and trade. I went to try and I had Taskmaster #1, but the store was out of #2, so I'm gonna have to get it in trade. And also the serial killer one. I really hate that I missed that book.
Yeah, that'd be an aftershock. I thought it was automatic for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I missed it, but I certainly did.
Yeah, I missed the boat on that one too. It's fun. I'm glad to hear it's good though. Like it's that was a book that I saw when it was coming out, and like I had the page folded in previews to pick it up, and I think I found like a trade paperback or a graphic novel or something that I wanted more, so I cut 2 or 3 books out, and that was one of them that got cut, and now I have regret. I have regret in my life. So as that happens, well, so I'll go now. It's my turn. This week I picked up Avengers #43 and immediately wanted to quit reading comics forever. So I threw that across the room, and I grabbed Immortal Hulk #44 because it makes everything better. So
I've been telling you to quit reading Avengers.
Avengers is one of those books. I know we all have our own things. I don't think Matt does. I think Matt's one of the few people, like it can be a book that he has read for years and years and years, but if it gets bad, he's just going to drop it. I am like that with 99% of books. Avengers is not one of them. I will always.
Spider-Man's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how bad it gets. I'm always going to read it just because that's my crew, and I'll stick.
Oh, no, I'll buy it. I won't read it.
See,
I haven't read a Spider-Man book in 4 years, I think. Now.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hear good things about this new Spider-Man that just came out. Like there's a new Spider series that just started.
Yeah, the nonstop. I haven't read it yet. I didn't get to that issue, but I've heard it's good too. Yeah.
I hear good things. Our buddy Flippo was bragging about it. So
you've not been reading the Peter David Spider-Man stuff, Greg?
The Peter David.
Yeah, the symbiote of Spider-Man or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, I'm waiting till the series is done and then I'll read that. Yeah. I've been ignoring Amazing Spider-Man, picking it up for my collection, but absolutely just ignoring it for this entire run.
Don't blame you a bit.
Sorry, we didn't mean to derail your short stack, Caleb.
We did.
I mean, Matt had malice in his heart when he did it, but
it's true.
But no, I just was going to piggyback on what Matt was saying about the Immortal Hulk. Like this book is just, it continues to steamroll everything else, and I love the UFOs. Like I think I might be the only person, but I love them, so I'm glad to see them show up in this book and have some fun.
It's only steamrolling everything else because you're not reading Daredevil.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Story. I believe that you believe that. And it's cool to see Brabo ink in this book too. Brabo is the inker that I bought my Immortal Hulk page from.
Nice.
So yeah, that's good stuff. And then after I was done with that, just to completely finish washing the bad taste of Earth's not mightiest book out of my mouth, I went and made a fancy little drink, got my little drinky drink on, and grabbed a book off that I've started before, but I'd never finished, and that is Tom Scioli's GoBots. Yeah, I love Tom Scioli. I think he is one of the most kinetic, toyetic, and like masterful artists, like working on these kind of underground, not really underground, but like low key. I don't even know how to describe it. Just comics, old school comics. Like you look at his art, you can tell that he's a student of Jack Kirby and the way that he does his perspectives, and he takes these neat little things, he studies them, and then he brings them to life. And that's what he did with GoBots. If you haven't read this, it's super fun. It's not necessarily linear storytelling. He kind of does some neat little loops that will confuse you at the time, but just push through, or at least it did me. And that might also mean the drinks. But just push through. It's really cool. I don't have a history with GoBots. I don't know anything about these as far as like the toys go, but it was just neat seeing what he did on the page. And bringing these kind of characters that nobody really cares about to life. And then spoilers, he loops it around, and he doesn't bring the Transformers in at the end of it, as far as like he's not telling you they're the Transformers, but they're absolutely the Transformers.
Well, the GoBots are part of the Transformer continuity now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, GoBots, Transformers bought out the GoBots line.
Oh, nice. I'd say I did not know that.
Yeah, actually, quite a long time ago. So they're all in the same universe now.
Very cool. See, I'm not a toy guy, so I like that's why I depend on you guys for that. And then last but not least, like topping my short stack, saying goodbye to a series.
You like how he got a fourth book in there, Matt?
I didn't put a fourth book in here.
Okay, go ahead.
How did I put a fourth book in here?
Go ahead. What's your last book?
Leave me alone. You guys interrupted my short stack. I don't even remember what I talked about. I might need to do another book after this. No, I just was going to say the plot from Vault Comics by Daniel Morrissey Hickson and Russell and Campbell wrapped up with their 8th issue. The story's over. This book is the book that made me pay attention to Vault. If you guys remember on our end of the year recaps, like Vault is the little publisher that could for me. I love this.
Wait, is Vault one of those we're supposed to read or not?
You keep confusing them with Alternate, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, they're not that. No, their Vault is really cool. Vault is like, they do a really good job of making sure that they are hiring diverse artists and writers, telling diverse types of stories that are good, that are genuinely really good. And that's what the plot was. I mean, I've spoke about it enough on the show that I'm not going to get into it. It looks a lot at generational horror and how it's connected to like place and to familial history of a house. And it's, it's great. I can't say enough good things about this series. And now that it's over, you all have the opportunity to go buy it all at once and read it. So congratulations to that team. It's fun stuff. Still trying to figure out how to put a fourth book in there. I don't know.
You read a book and threw it across the room.
I didn't read it. I opened it up, looked at it, and then threw it across the room.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then went on to read Immortal Hulk.
Gotcha.
Matt, who's your favorite UFO?
Oh man, how can you choose your favorite UFO? It wouldn't be fair to the rest of them.
That's right.
I love all through that issue. It's like, is it my turn yet? Is it my turn yet?
Yeah.
I want to go. Well, all right. I love hearing what you guys read throughout the week. It really is fun. Because obviously we all read incredibly different things, and except when we don't, because that's how that works. But as usual, we all got together this week, and we decided to read a book together. Well, not really together. I mean, we weren't in the same time and space, but we all read the same thing. Do what?
Craig and I were in the same time and space. We read our book together.
What?
Yeah, we held.
That's how we do it every week. Too. Didn't you know that?
See, this is part of that secret.
We hold hands. We read the book. We light candles, and then we do chants afterward. And that's how we determine whether we like the book.
How else are you supposed to read? I mean, how do you read, Caleb?
I know I've said this once or twice, but I enjoy it when I'm not the gayest one on the show. Really makes me feel comfortable.
Don't throw shade at two platonic relationships. Work to the max.
Right.
I love your love. I love your love.
It's how we connected to the comic zeitgeist while we're reading.
That's right.
You're one with the force is with you. But no, we decided to apparently those guys got together and had a romantic reading event while I read alone at my house as the universe, as I deserve. I deserve it. Let's be honest. But the book we decided to get together and read this week was Karmen #1 by Guillem March and Image Comics. Now, before we talk about this, just want to do y'all the solid and say, hey, there's no way to talk about this book, talk about any book really, without spoiling a few things. You could, but you're only going to get a 30,000 foot view, and that's not nearly as fun as getting into the mechanics of the story. So here's a spoiler warning. If you have not read this book and maybe it's sitting on your stack, you hadn't got to it yet, hit the little pause button, go read it, and then come back and check it out, and then finish the episode. It'll be fun. It's good for your health. Like 10 out of 10 doctors agree that listening to our show, it gives you, it's basically the vaccine. Our show is.
It will at least not make you more stupid.
Right, stupider.
Yeah, that not a guarantee.
It is not. No, it will at least not make you more.
We're gonna get sued.
I will say there's no guarantee it will make you smarter though.
This show has not been endorsed by the United States Department of Education, because sometimes we get silly and that's fun. So what did you guys think about this book? How did you what's the 30,000 foot view from Matt and Craig?
Matt, go ahead with your
I enjoyed the book. It was very interesting. I had no idea what I was getting into with this book. I did not read a synopsis anywhere. So I walked into this completely cold. The artwork is incredible. Oh my goodness, man, the artwork's crazy good. This and the main character, Karmen. Wow. I really appreciate how difficult it must be to illustrate a full skeleton from so many different angles and so many panels. That has got to be very challenging.
Right.
But I appreciated the look of the book. It was very well executed mechanically, and the uniqueness of the story I really appreciated too. I really, there are so many the same types of stories out there that people seem to be stuck in this, like, post-apocalyptic is a great example of that. There are countless what it seems like post-apocalyptic stories. So when somebody comes up with one of these creator-owned stories that's from it's got a very unique storyline, I automatically appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate to be that guy, but I don't have much to add to what Matt just said. It exactly my feelings on this book. Absolutely beautiful, and the uniqueness of the story were just both major draws for me on this book.
Yeah, and I think Matt, so a lot of times in our culture, the word unique is really overused. In this case, it's not. And I don't say that for y'all's benefit. I say that for the benefit of the listener. Like, everything in our culture, anybody with blue hair is unique, and not to offend anyone, but you can be in a room with 1,400 people with blue hair at any given moment.
Right.
We read a lot. I've never read a book like this.
Well, one thing I like is it gives you like 10 different stories that it's similar to within the context of the book. It names off different stories it's similar to, but it's not any of them.
Yeah, it gives those literary hints to the work that came before it. It's truly stunning work, and I'm going to co-sign with you guys. It sounds like we're 3 for 3 on our appreciation of this book. Like I said, I've never read a story of this perspective ever, and that's something when that happens, because, like I said, we all consume a lot of this medium, and when you find something that is completely fresh, that really has not, that's almost, it's not necessarily new ground, but it's a new take on things. That's important. That's the medium moving forward, and I just really enjoy when that happens. So that's us saying go out and buy this book. But now we're going to tell you why, the why of it all. This book is really the story of a relationship, or at least it seems to be. And the relationship is between two figures. One of them name is Catalina, and the other one's name is Zisco. And these are childhood friends. Like, they went to school together. They were were besties, and they stayed besties all through life. But you know, as you might know from your personal experience, or just kind of understand about the world, when a guy and a girl are close platonic friends, that can create some issues. There's both the issue of how that interrelates to their romantic relationships. You know, and there's a lot of people who don't want their significant other to, you know, spend personal time with a person of the opposite sex, um, because even if they are just friends. And there's also the issue of maybe one of those figures secretly falls in love with the friend, like they want it to be more than platonic, and it doesn't work out. Like so you are basically seeding the ground for a lot of hardship, and I think that's what takes place here. I mean, those kind of same things come at play as they grow older. You know, Zisco gets in a relationship where the woman that he's with isn't really cool with him hanging out with Catalina alone without her there. She's not, you know, she's afraid of their emotional intimacy, and how that might lead to physical intimacy, which look, on some level that's a valid fear, but on another level, you've got to, you can't be so selfish that you run a lifelong friendship and a relationship just because of your own personal fears. It's a trust issue, which Zisco actually comes out and says. He's like, this is a matter of trust. Well, and several years after that, apparently that relationship works out to a point. But Zisco finds himself, you know, sitting at a little a cafe having tea with, I don't know if it's the same woman or not. I assume it is. You never really see the original woman who had the beef's face. But they're having tea, and he gets a call from Catalina, which, you know, they're having a conversation. Something has happened. We don't really know what at this point. And Zisco's like, you know, I'd rather just not talk to her than lie to her right now. So you don't really know what that's about. Right after that, he shady buttons her, and then his girlfriend, assumedly, or significant other, or person that he's just having tea with, you don't really know, her phone rings, and it's Catalina again. It's Kata, and she's like, oh, like, it's weird that she's calling both of us. You know, she knows we're together. This is strange, but she goes ahead and answers, and it's Kata saying, hey, like, are you guys together? So there's something here, and it has not been unpacked yet in the story. But Kata asks the girl to go by the store. It's like, hey, can you pick up some milk and some panty liners on the way home? Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Then the book takes you to the apartment. The book leaves Zisco, and it goes back to Kata. And really, it doesn't go back to Kata. It goes back to the home that Kata lives in, and you see this figure, this woman walking up the stairs of this apartment complex. And as Matt said earlier, all through the book, this figure, the body is outlined in black, but you see her skeleton, and that's all her body is this black outline with this white skin. I mean, all the bones, the ribs, everything. It's kind of, you know, it's what you might imagine actually, you know, our buddy Dap put it best. It's what you might imagine the Grim Reaper looks like under his robes, except she's got pink hair, and a very beautiful human face. You know, as she walks up the stairs, this old woman comes out of her apartment, and she's just like, "Oh, it's too early for you to be taking the trash back. Go back in." But there's no interaction there. You know, it's kind of like what she's wearing is one of those cheap Halloween skeleton costumes, that you'll see people have, like the bodysuits. But she keeps going up the stairs, Karmen does, and she goes into the apartment, and there's a kind of a young woman, a roommate, sitting on the couch. She's a little bit stoned, eating popcorn, watching some TV, listening to some beats, and just completely doesn't recognize that somebody comes into this house. And so Karmen just strolls through this house that's not hers, that is assumedly Kata's. And she goes to the bathroom where she finds Kata. And I guess this is one of those, you know, trigger content warning things. Kata has committed suicide, or at least attempted to commit suicide. She's you know, opened up her wrist with a razor blade. And in this very serious, very stark moment, this you know, where she's visibly, you know, her eyes are black. She's unkempt. She's naked. She's sitting on the toilet while this is happening. This is a very sad moment, to which Karmen just starts joking. She just lightens the mood. She starts clicking her little heels together and talking to Kata as if all of this is just casual Tuesday. Nothing in this really matters. And essentially, as the book unfolds, what you find out is that Karmen is, in some sense, death. She's the embodied. You can think back to Marvel's version of death, or to Lady Death, what have you. But she's this kind of embodiment of the person who is sent to take the souls away to the other side. Except she's, Kata's not ready to go yet, and she's got to figure out in these moments where she's in the between. She's not ready to leave the plane, but she's also not alive. No one can see her. And so they just go on a stroll. They go stroll through the city. And again, Kata's completely naked just the entire time. But no one can see her. So it's this very free-ish type moment. And Karmen's kind of explaining to her how this temporal world works and how she can do things and things like fly, but she can't let herself be touched by mortal people, because if she does, then she'll things will be tangible, like it'll break them. It might break her. It's a very deceptive book, because, as Matt said, the art is so gorgeous, and the way that Guillem March draws these women, because that's all the book is, they are sensual, they are sexy. I mean, these are genuinely gorgeous women, and the way that they are voluptuous, and the way they're shaped, and the way that they move, and the beauty with which he draws them. It will make you forget how morbid this story is, how truly macabre and how heart-wrenching this story is, as what you find, like all of these troubles are washed away in these kind of miraculous moments of her being able to fly, of Kata being able to fly, or being able to go places that she's never been able to go before, and see people in a way that she's never been able to see them before. How freeing this is, wrapped up in the constraints of death. That was at least my takeaway of this first issue. And I'm in. Like, I'm all the way. I could not get, if I were any more in this book, I would literally be in this book. There was nothing about it that I was not just fascinated by. Literally, if I had a complaint, and I don't, my complaint would be that the book looks like it was formatted for a different size than what my book was printed in. Because all the pages kind of have this frame of gray wrapped around them, which you see that in comics sometimes. And it stands to say something that's literally the only kind of nitpicky thing I have, is I don't like how thick the margins are of the book. And if that's all I got, then that's saying a lot about the book. It's masterful.
I want to ask Matt a question. Matt, did you pick up or did you think that she was there to take her away to the other side?
No, I didn't get that feeling at all. I got the feeling
I didn't either. So I just was wondering.
Yeah, she was there to kind of show her this new plane that she was on. The perspectives in this book are incredible, man. Guillem March is, good Lord, he's flexing his muscles in this book. They're all over the place. The one that jumped out to me the most, is dead center in the book, is this scene where she's in the bathtub, and it's got that fisheye lens look to the perspective. Yeah. Man, that is really freaking difficult. And then the perspectives, like towards the end of the book, where Catalina is learning to fly, and it's Karmen, the perspective of Karmen watching her ascend. That is a lot of freaking skill to draw that perspective between the buildings. All, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, you got 6, 7, 8 different perspectives of Catalina, and then the perspective of Karmen bent, and it's a downwards up view. These are these are incredible works of illustration.
They really, really are.
And I've just never seen Guillem March's artwork to this degree. I'm like, my gosh, I've never seen him draw like this before. This is, man, he just looks like he poured everything, all his talent into this book. Something else that really jumped out to me is there is no back matter in this book. When's the last time you read a number one issue of a creator-owned story and there's no back matter?
So I read this online, and it did have some back matter at the end of it. I didn't have a chance to read it because to be 100% honest here, I actually was reading this right up till the moment I logged on because I had a problem with my internet this morning. So I did not have a chance to read it, but it had some behind the scenes stuff, they called it. So I'm going to go back and read that later. So
Matt, you said yours didn't. Matt, you said yours didn't have any back matter. Like my physical copy doesn't have any like written back matter, but it's got process shots. Did yours have that?
Yeah, it's got the sketches and the inks. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's all that was in there when it said behind the scenes. It may have just been the drawing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to look at it, so that may very well be all it was.
And you know what you said about the borders, Caleb, I don't think that's fair because he uses those borders to break them in several instances. So I think the borders are a tool of the book itself and that's not because it's in a, what adds to that argument is it's not consistent. There are a lot of pages that are full bleed that go all the way to the edge of the paper.
Yeah, especially in the front of the book when you've got like those metaphysical moments. And I see what you're saying about the breaking of the panel in some pages. And like I said, that was just the only little thing that distracted me. And a lot of times when you get these books that I'm not sure if Guillem March is French or if he's Spanish, but a lot of times those books, I read a lot of bande dessinée, and when those bande dessinée are reprinted in English and in the United States, they're set up for United States format. And you get a lot of gutter, and you don't get a lot of gutter in this particular book, but it's just thicker margins. And like I said, that's something that you see in other books all the time too, even American books. So, I mean, like a little bitty nitpick, if nothing else. But I think it's just a formatting thing. And you're right. He does break it on several things. So I think he's controlling when and
it's a tool. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's using the borders as a tool on some pages because some pages he doesn't have the border at all.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think that's a fair nitpick when he's using it as a tool of the process.
All nitpicks are fair. That's why they're nitpicks.
So going back to what I asked Matt earlier, because I thought the same as Matt, that she wasn't there to take her to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
She was there in a way like, almost think of it like Beetlejuice. If you commit suicide, you're then condemned to a life of having to help other people in the afterlife. And that was kind of what I picked up on it. Like her future is going to be doing what Karmen is doing, which is helping other people.
I could see that, which I also think as far as a replacement standpoint, it's interesting because they both have pink hair. And I could definitely see that where I made the inference, and it's completely an inference. Like it doesn't come out and say it by any means that this was
No, I wasn't being critical of your take on it. I was just asking because there's many times when we read things and it's not 100% spelled out. We pick up on it in different ways. So I was just curious as if Matt had picked up the same as you and I had picked up something different.
No, dude, that's even if it was critical, I mean that's totally okay. If I'm reading something that's not there or that's in a different way, that's why we love to explore these books together. What I was going to say is where that kind of assessment comes from is it's an inferment based on they, like you said, they mentioned ghost in this book. They mentioned these other kind of pop culture references. That I think play a part. So when I see ghost, it does kind of put me into that mindscape. These other books that we've read about when people are visited by these spirits for whatever reason, it's to learn a lesson. And so that's me bringing baggage in, which could be inappropriate. Like that could be that could not be the case. And we won't know until the story unfolds. But where I kind of at least think that this is like you said, it's definitely a story where they are moving her into a different position, or at least teaching her some things. Like Karmen says in one point, that wasn't in the report. So there's a higher structure here. There's an organizational thing here to where they like Karmen has studied kata. She knows about kata's history. Like, she's there for a purpose. And I don't necessarily think this is like a thing that happens to everyone, but there's something special about kata that either has gotten her stuck in this kind of planar in between land, or that she's being set up for, like you said, could be taking over the job. She's not ready to let go of the baggage between her real life. There's something there. So like I said, that's just kind of where I took it, but I absolutely see where you're coming from too, where this could be this could be something other than being, moving on to the quote unquote other side. Like, this could be totally setting up for something different, and we won't know until the story unfolds.
Yeah, and I want to point out to you that this book, while it has some very dark undertones to it, even regardless of the art, which, as you pointed out, makes you not think about how dark this book is, there's some legit funny moments in this book, dude.
Yeah.
There's like 4 panels where they're going back and forth because they can't remember Keanu Reeves's name.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some legit funny things that happen in this book. So even though it is a dark, kind of depressing story, it's not because of the way it's done, if that makes sense. So don't be scared of the subject matter to read this book.
Oh, at all. There's a little bit of a manga influence, I think, in some of this too. Just I like looking through some of the panels. There's that one scene where Karmen shows her real face, and I'll just leave it at that, where the horror in her face reminds me a little bit of Junji Ito. It's just the book is so pretty. It's so artistically layered that you can just dive in. Speaking of connections to other artists, did you guys see who did the B cover? Who was the artist on the B cover of this book?
I did not.
It's Milo Manara.
Oh, okay.
Who did that? Which, if you know Milo Manara, he is famous for doing almost porn comics. He got the big kerfluffle years ago where he drew Spider-Woman, but in a very sexual pose. Like, Milo Manara draws, good girl art, gorgeous, sensual, sexual stuff. I like Milo Manara's art. I think it's beautiful, for specifically for what it is. But I found that interesting because when you think of Milo Manara, you think of the sexual connotations that come with his style of art, the sensualness of his art that a lot of times he uses quote unquote porn poses. And when you juxtapose that with this story, and where this story is, there's literally a nude woman in almost every single panel of this story, but she's not sexualized. It's interesting to me that you see this woman completely naked, and how culturally we've, when we see a naked woman, we live in a world where you almost always sexualize that in some sense, and none of it's sexualized here. She's just nude. She's bearing everything. She's hiding nothing. And I thought that was a really intriguing part of the mechanics of the story, is that you do see a woman who's got a gorgeous body. She's voluptuous and she is sensual, but all through this book, there's nothing in it that is sexualized. And I would love to see more of that in pop culture, just in general, to where we don't over sexualize the human body in every sense, that you can be nude without it being gratuitous. And there's a lot of that in this book. Just job well done, just completely.
Sorry, my cats are fighting to get in and out of my office. Yeah, go get this book. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to pick it up in trade format because for some reason I did not get a copy of it and a couple of other books this week that I thought I was getting. So I did not get them. So I will probably pick, unless they still have the first issue on the shelf, I'll go pick it up.
I got mine off the shelf.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'll see if it's still on the shelf when I go back to the store.
I hope so. I would think that they would have ordered, because this book got a lot of buzz. So hopefully,
yeah, I'm not sure how I didn't get it, if I neglected to sign up for it or if it missed my box. But either way, I'm going to go see if I can find it.
I love these process shots in the back of the book. Like I would look at an entire book of just process shots from Guillem March. Maybe my STEMI money will buy me a page.
STEMI money.
STEMI money. Yay, STEMI. Actually, no, I can guarantee you it's not. Roger will kibosh that. He will say no, and that's his prerogative. So, yeah, go pick up this book. Any kind of final thoughts from you guys on it?
No, I thought it was. Yeah, I have no critiques of this book. I think he did everything right, and I think Guillem March just absolutely knocked it out of the park with this.
One of the best books I've read in a long time. I'm not joking. One of the best books I've read in a long time.
Yeah, I agree. It's always fun when a book that I wouldn't necessarily expect to be in my wheelhouse ends up in my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always fun when that happens. So
yeah,
glad to read a book that, if I just read the synopsis of this book, I may not have picked it up, but of course, March being on it helped. So pick it up, read it. I promise you'll like it. If you have, a human soul at all.
Was Guillem March doing Batman a while back? I know I've seen his name in a couple places. That's what. Okay.
Yeah, he was doing Batman, I think, before Aiko took over, right?
That sounds right.
Or was it a little bit further back? Either way, yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, it's been recent. So
yeah.
This book is already on my short list for the best of 2021. So that's good stuff. But I want to hear about something that you guys read this week that maybe I didn't. So what y'all been reading?
You want me to go first? I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in the path I've been on in talking about older books. And the book I'm going to talk about is from 1974, and that is Hulk 180. Of course, it's Marvel. Now, do you guys say Lin Wein or Lin Wine? I always say Wein, but
it's Lin Wein.
Yeah, it's Wein.
Wein. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure. So Lin Wein was the writer on this. Herb Trimpe did pencils, and Jack Abel did the inks. Now, I know you're saying, Craig, you're reviewing this book because you love Wolverine, and this is his cameo first appearance. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not. I'm reviewing this book because it has one of my favorite Hulk moments ever in it. And actually, there's quite a few great Hulk moments in this book, but the scene I'm talking about specifically is at the very beginning. And Hulk has landed in upstate New York after leaving whatever happened in issue 179. However, he lands on a rancher's brand new $680.27 fence, which of course also spooks the horses, right? It's such a Hulk moment. And the infuriated rancher starts yelling at the Hulk. And the Hulk grows wearisome of the rancher's yelling and apologizes for ruining his fence and promises to fix it if the rancher will just shut up. Then, coming to his senses, he says, and I quote, "Wait, what is Hulk doing?" Puny Human yells at Hulk, and Hulk just lets him. Bah! Get out of Hulk's way, Puny Human, before Hulk loses temper. Every time I read that scene, I laugh so hard.
Yeah, what's funny, the part that is one of my all-time favorite Hulk moments too. What's funny is the way when the rancher starts cussing the Hulk out, the way that the Hulk's face is illustrated, and the subtext is like, no one has ever talked to the Hulk this way, and it confuses him. It's so awesome.
He's like, what? Wait, why am I listening to this guy? It's just an amazing Hulk moment.
When he apologizes and says he'll fix the fence, it's so freaking amazing. Oh my gosh.
Well, and it's one of those moments that you don't get a lot in early Hulk, where he's actually humanized a little bit, and you get that in this moment. So he leaves and he goes to Canada, and so he lands in Canada, and the Canadians decide immediately that they must send Weapon X to deal with the Hulk because they don't want him rampaging through their lands.
Mm-hmm.
So soon after he lands, we come across another great Hulk moment where he is attacked by wolves, and he doesn't want to hurt the wolves because Hulk loves dogs, but dogs who attack Hulk are no better than puny humans, and Hulk does not like humans at all. So he starts beating on the wolves, and eventually they flee from him. And just about the time that ends, he hears a voice calling out to him, and keeps calling him Hulk. Come here, Hulk, Hulk. And of course, it's driving him insane. And he wants to know where the voice is hiding. Is it behind the tree or under the rock? And he's smashing trees and throwing rocks, trying to find out where this voice is coming from. And finally, we find out the voice belongs to Marie Cartier, who is trying to lure the Hulk to take on the Wendigo. I don't know what I just said a second ago.
I'm just going to sit here.
She wants the Hulk to become the Wendigo and free her brother, who is currently the Wendigo. And if you don't know this, the Hulk suffers no fools, and he perceives the Wendigo to be a fool. And so the Hulk and Wendigo battle, and to Matt's pleasure, there is even a headbutt scene in their battle.
It's excellent.
Yeah. And just as the battle really gets going, Weapon X shows up, better known as Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it ends. And if you want to know how Wolverine plays into the Wendigo Hulk Wolverine fight, you're going to have to read issue 181, which will only cost you about probably $3,400. So
yeah, it's pricey.
Couple of Steiny checks.
Yeah. So there's so many great Hulk moments in this story, and sometimes I forget how well he was written back in the early days. But man, this was a good issue.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, first time I ever read that story, I bought, and I still have it. I've got one of the TOR mini books.
Okay.
These black, in the early 90s. They did these little pocket books, and they're black and white compilations of an issue or two.
Okay.
And I bought this in the mall, and I've still got it. I mean, I'm looking at it right now on my shelf. You could get these books for $4. And that's the first place I ever read this story.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Tor was like Joe Kubert's Tarzan analog, right? Or am I missing the mark on that one?
Tor was a small, I mean you could say they're just one step above a pulp book publishing company. Did mostly science fiction and sword and sorcery books.
Okay. Well, they also, I believe, if I'm not wrong, no, that was TSR. I was going to say published the Dungeons and Dragons books, but no, that was TSR.
Am I crazy? Or was there a character named Tor?
I don't remember. Might have been. I don't remember.
Huh.
Yeah, so this book, I picked it up, of course, as a facsimile edition. I do own the original, which I picked up at a yard sale or a estate sale for 75 cents out of a box of old comics.
Go fuck yourself.
I hate you so much.
Yep, it was in a box of old comics, 75 cents. is what I paid for this book, and this was like 5 years ago.
Okay, Caleb, your turn.
Well, I want to talk about I want to go back and talk about Trimp's art in this, because Trimp is hands down one of my favorite Hulk artists. And Matt, you actually corrected me on something. I'd been operating under the assumption forever that Trimpy. First of all, we're talking about pronouncing names. I still don't know if it's Trimp or Trimpy.
I've always said Trimpy, but I have no idea what's correct. So.
I have too, but now in listening to old interviews and stuff, now I start hearing people say Trimp, and I'm just like, I don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
But I'd always been under the kind of working assumption that he designed Wolverine's costume, which that original costume is my favorite. Like, I don't think Wolverine has ever looked better than that original costume. I love that thing. But Matt, you say it's someone else, correct?
Yeah, who actually designed the costume was John Romita Sr., because he was the lead character developer for Marvel at the time. So he designed the costume and handed that to Herb Trimp to actually illustrate his first appearance.
See, that's just cool. I never knew that.
You didn't want to accept that when I first told you that. It made you mad.
It did. I'm still a little upset about it, but time heals all wounds. Well, just because and I still hold Trimp up on a pedestal, Trimpy up on a pedestal. But
it's great.
I just didn't want to believe that anybody else made that.
He drew the Hulk headbutting Wendigo.
Yeah,
right. That's all you need to know.
How much more of a pedestal do you need? And it's just
and it's not like a sideways headbutt. It's like they are flying at each other, looking at the camera, and their heads hit sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I've always loved the way, like, you're talking about interactions in the Hulk where you like to see them. I love seeing Hulk interact with animals. Like, I realize he fights dogs in this one, but there's been several moments to where Hulk has to interact with either some type of creature in the desert or something like that, to where it's just a quiet moment and you realize that he's not completely, like, he doesn't just hate life. It's just, it really is people.
It's just humans.
Yeah, I understand that on a personal level.
There's one, I thought it was in the same collection. In the wilderness, he also kind of stumbles upon a bear, and he's like, oh, hello, bear. And then the bear attacks him. He's like, stupid bear.
No, it is. And I'm pretty sure that's what led to that famous scene out of the Lou Ferrigno show where he throws the bear.
Well, then he realizes that the bear, it's a mama bear protecting her baby. And then he's like, bear protecting baby. Get lost. And he just runs off.
It's great.
I mean, there's like 3 or 4 scenes in this issue where I just laugh. And of course, the one where he's like, where's the voice coming from? Is it behind tree? And he's behind the trees. Is it under rock? And he's throwing the rocks. It just kills me.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It was so well written, so well illustrated.
Man.
It's such a good book. Go get it. Go find it. Read it if you haven't read it. Cherish it if you have.
Now, Craig, I can't let you talk about a facsimile book without asking the question that I always ask. What were some of the cool ads that you saw?
The best ad in this one, well, there was 2. The best one, though, was the karate ad that I sent you a picture of this morning.
Mm-hmm.
That within 24 hours, you could have complete self-defense once ordering their online, or not online, but their mail order self-learning karate book. Within 24 hours, you could have complete self-defense. And then they had one for all of the cheapskate Marvel fanatics. You could buy, and this is how it was written, you could buy 12 comics for the price of 8 if you would just start a subscription with Marvel. For all you cheapo Marvel fans.
That's hilarious.
Comics for 75 cents.
Yeah.
Dude, I love revisiting these things with you. So, thank you for continuing to do that.
Oh, it may keep going because I have Hulk 182 to read now too.
Nice. Such a good era, man. Gotta love it.
It was.
All right, Matt, whose turn is it now?
You.
All right, I'll go. So I'm going to, I guess, kind of in the spirit of our roundtable book, talk about a book that's not a superhero book, that is focused on a very complicated female figure, and a book that is contextually layered And that book comes from a little publisher called Boom Studios. And it is also, like our roundtable book, drawn and written by a single person. And that person is a person that has become one of my favorite artists in the game, Miss Maria Lovett. And the book is called Luna #2. Now, I know I told you guys about Luna #1. I can't remember if I spoke on it as like a book of the week or if it was just in my short stack. But
yeah, you did talk about it. I don't remember which way, but I read the first one as well, and I have not had a chance to read the second issue. But don't worry about spoiling it. Go forward and tell us the story.
Okay, well, I can do both. Like I can do it without completely spoiling things, but I can also talk about it kind of in detail, just from that aspect. So the first book was confusing, and like because you get the basis of where these people are coming from. It's very 1969, 1970 hippie culture. The main character, she stumbles on I don't know if you want to call them a commune or a sex cult or what have you. She kind of is getting into this free love lifestyle, where there's one really charismatic male guy, and there's all these women around that they share each other, literally each other's. It's very queer in its presentation too. But things start to unfold and they get a little weird, and she goes and has this psychedelic dream, and you're not sure if it's drug induced or if it's ethereal or otherworldly or what happens. But those things kind of get unpacked a little bit in the second issue. She is having this very vivid psychedelic dream. I mean, it's cray-cray. There are cherubs around saying that a blood pack is forever around a sun with some kind of ruin in it, and this very magical element. And as she's having this dream, she's thinking about sex with this kind of charismatic dude, where all the other women come over and kind of have this. They attack her in a way that's reminiscent of Dracula, where the wives of Dracula go after Harkness, I think is who it was. It's been a minute, but she awakes from that, and she's very groggy. And Luna's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And she goes and she starts talking to the other women, and she starts looking at, kind of the social dynamics of things, and, how things work and how the commune is ran. And she starts to realize there's a little bit of a structure and a hierarchy here that maybe didn't present itself at first. And maybe things aren't as fluid and free as they are on face value. And she starts to kind of wonder and pay attention to what's going on. And she starts seeing people kind of sneak off and do their own thing. And she starts to follow them to kind of figure out what's going on. And when she does, she comes to a cave, and she sees on this cave the ruin that she saw on in her dream. And also that she's seen in kind of a diary somewhere on the compound premises. And she starts to kind of do some detective work, so to speak, and figure out what's going on here. While all this is happening, you start to realize that the relationships and the structure of this commune is starting to fall apart a little bit. One of the women has a secret lover on the side that is trying to get her to get away from the commune. You start to see an argument between who is, I don't know what to say it, and what I say may sound insensitive, but the alpha female, and I don't know. I hate phrasing it that way. I just literally don't know. Like, that's how the book kind of presents it. So I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be. But she gets in a fight with the guy, and all through the story, the guy's been going by kind of this hippie name, and he calls himself Lux, but she kind of breaks the veil. She breaks character, and she calls him by his outside name, his real name, which is something like Richard or something like that. And so he doesn't appreciate that, and he like threatens her. So things are all not hippie and flowers and rainbows and peace and love. It's really starting to come apart. But while they're having this conversation, there is there's these inklings of an addiction here, and not in you think of this era and you automatically think of the influx of heroin to the hippie scene, and I think it's supposed to evoke that, but because the book is about magic, the book is about occult happenings. There's more. Um, these women, these figures are literally addicted to something in Lux's body. Either his blood or if they're having sex, it might be his semen. You don't know. They are literally addicted to his body. And you're starting to wonder, like, how did this come about? Well, she sneaks in and she finds that diary that she saw the original ruin on, and she starts reading it. And the diary is actually from an explorer, a historical figure that first stumbled upon this place and stumbled upon the cave. And essentially, without spoiling it, there is a connection to the old gods in this book that Richard or Lux or whatever he wants to call himself stupidly stumbled upon and took advantage of. That really breaks this story open. The format of this book, as I'm looking at it, is much the same as Karmen. It's got those gutters and the big borders and margins and stuff that it breaks from time to time. And if you know anything about Maria Levitt, she's I want to say she's Catalonian, Spanish. And so the book was originally not formatted for Western comics, and so you get a little bit of that too, to where they're trying to make it work. And again, it's just it works well in this book, just like I think it worked well in the last book, in the sense that it's a little less noticeable in this book, but I think that's because they didn't color it in this book, where the other books they would it's kind of like if you're playing with paint as a kid, you use the little paint bucket feature and you fill the whole thing up with the color. In Luna, it's all white, which for me makes it I don't know how to put it. It makes it a little bit less striking. You don't notice it as much, except when in some of the pages where it like cuts off some of the scene, like when they break the panel, it'll cut off like half of somebody's head. Again, that's a formatting issue. That is not a critique of the art in and of itself, because the art is gorgeous. And again, just like that other book, it's sensual, but in a different kind of way. Maria doesn't use as much detail in the way that she draws people. Her lines are a little bit bulkier than maybe Guillem March's is. If you've ever seen any of her other work, you kind of know what I'm talking about. She's more expressionistic, I think is the way to put it. But she like even as different as the depiction is, she's so emotive. Like she can break your heart while stealing it at the same time. And the way that she draws people, again, it's sensual, but it's way more sexual in this book. But if you look at what she did with Azarello, it's meant to be that. Like, it's meant to make you think about sex. Like, you are meant to think about these bodies intertwined and doing just all kinds of debaucherous nonsense. And then you take that and you add that to what the story's telling, where it's talking about addiction and the taboo and the mechanics of polyamory and these relationships. It's meant to really make you question and make you think, like, deep and important thoughts about how the relationships of people and interaction and free love and this world kind of works with the occult. So it's just it's a beautiful book. It's a fun book. I'm really glad to have read the second issue that kind of opened up the story into places I didn't expect it to go, and I didn't know it would go. Having read almost everything that Lovett has written and drawn right now, she is working those muscles. She is getting stronger. Her storytelling is getting tighter. The craft of leaving cliffhangers on that right hand side of the page, and just making you flip the page, and the way that the frames work together, those intricacies of how the panels play off of each other, and the lines that form on the page where, on the left hand side somebody be looking down and they're making eye contact with somebody at the bottom of the page on the right hand side. It's just it's so cool to see how she is. She started off at a 9 and now she's at an 11. Just one of the strongest works that I've seen from her, which is saying a whole bunch because she is yet to put out a piece that I haven't enjoyed.
What's great is we have I can think of 3 really great new artists / storytellers on the scene right now. Female artists / storytellers: Maria Lovett, Mirka Andolfo, and Peach Momoko. All 3 are making huge names for themselves right now, and I'm loving every moment of it.
Now, I haven't read anything by Peach Momoko. I know she just had that.
She's doing the Demon Day stuff for X-Men. Yeah. And she's been doing cover artists for right now, and that story was good. It just wasn't meant for me.
I haven't read it, but the general takeaway from you guys that I took is it was a good story, but it was weird that it was an X-Men story. Other than a few nods to the X-Men, it wasn't. It was kind of strange, especially when you have a main figure who looks so much like Psylocke but isn't Psylocke.
Well, it's depending on how it all plays out with what goes on in the future stories of it.
But yeah, if you're not on Luna, rectify that. If for the art alone, and if you want to see some more work by her, and you haven't read her book Loud, which is largely a silent comic, as interesting as that is, check that out, because she does a lot. Like you want to talk about her ability to tell a story through pictures, through sequential art. She is jumping out and flexing all over the place in that book, and even for as a book that doesn't have any words or narration, that she's not lying. That book is loud. It's the hotness. So go check that out. Maria Levitt's is badass. Like I'll buy anything she does.
Sorry, I absolutely agree. I enjoy everything she's on.
Just weird and cool. So
if I had any complaint about the Luna book, and I think we talked about this last time, it's how much she looks like the main character from the other book she did.
Faithless. Yeah, she
Faithless.
And I think it's one of those things, like she tends to draw all of her I think it's a fair critique. She draws all of her women a lot the same. And her work is, like I said, so expressionistic in like the facial features and the way that she draws people's lips and eyes. A lot of that is the same. And so that transference is definitely there.
It's not, I mean, it's a minor critique because there's a lot of artists that do similar things.
Right.
So, it's, the story's fantastic though, at least what I've read so far. I've got to read this issue, but yeah, definitely good.
I would like to see her branch out and draw different people of different body styles.
I mean, I think you'll see it with more time and as she gets more comfortable doing sequential art. So,
but it is neat to see the sensuality of this book through a female gaze, because a lot of times when you're dealing with sex and everything, it's through a male gaze, and this is totally her. So I dig it. It's just good stuff. So, what you got, Matt?
Well, I'm going to talk about from DC, Joker #1 by James Tynion the Fourth and Guillem March. This is in the Infinite Frontier storyline. I don't know what that means, but that's what it is, because I'm not reading Infinite Frontier, I guess. Maybe I am now.
No, Infinite Frontier is what they're doing post the death metal stuff. Everything is in the Infinite Frontier.
Okay.
This is the new timeline where they can pull people from different eras.
Yeah.
And they're basically using the Marvel sliding scale for aging is basically what it's come down to. But it's their new gimmick, I guess you could say. But yeah, everything that you're buying right now has that subtitle on it or that imprint logo on it.
And that's how it lets you know that they're coming out of this 3-month hiatus and that this stuff is actually supposed to be whatever the new continuity is. Where the stuff that we've been reading, like those really cool Swamp Thing stories that we read, like none of that is continuity. It's all just, hey, this is a big what if. So the Infinite Frontier is it's reigniting continuity based on whatever crazy stuff Snyder did.
So why is the Joker missing an eye, Craig?
I don't know, because that book was not put in my box. So
okay, well,
I'm assuming it doesn't explain it in the issue. If you're asking, though,
yeah, that's I thought you might have known if you're.
No, Joker hasn't been in anything yet that I've read since they but there's only been like 4 or 5 issues of anything that's come out. So I can only assume they're going to explain to us how he's missing an eye.
Well, it's DC, so maybe not.
At least maybe his whole face this time.
So this story, I went into this from curiosity more than anything. I had no foreknowledge about what this story was about. I'm not reading the Infinite Frontier storyline, let alone DC's Metal. Not read one single thing of that for a long time.
Yeah, you have. You read Batman last week, and that was Infinite Frontier.
No, I'm talking about Metal. So Metal, I don't know. I have no idea what's happened in Metal, what's been going on there for the last couple of years. I just know it's a thing that I've been avoiding. I try to avert my gaze.
I'm sorry. I was just saying you have read the Infinite, or the whatever it's called now, Infinite Frontier, but the other stuff, yes. I have no idea either.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't think that there's a quote unquote Infinite Frontier book. Like, I don't think they're doing it like a 6-issue event the way that Marvel has done things. I think it's just something they're stamping on all their monthlies.
Kind of like New 52 or, whatever. They're just putting a new name on the cover of their book. So you can refer to this era as the Infinite Frontier era.
Okay. Yeah.
But I can assume that maybe something happened to the Joker's eye in Death Metal.
Yeah.
Because, that would be my guess.
So, this story, this is a James Gordon story. As far as this first issue, at least, this is very, very reminiscent of Batman Year One by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, in that it is James Gordon narrating what's going on with him. And he actually pulls back to the Year One storyline a couple of times, because in this storyline, he has decided to go ahead and retire. He has no financial means to do so. He's going to figure that out along the way. He's been approached by Harvey Bullock to join him as a private investigator, which he makes clear he's not going to do. But this is right after the Joker has gas bombed Arkham Asylum and killed almost everybody within Arkham Asylum, patients, staff. So a handful of people do escape, and the Joker has fled the city. It's discovered later that he commandeered a private jet, and he's somewhere in South America. And James Gordon has been approached by this unknown female who wants to hire him to hunt down the Joker. He's constantly haunted by his personal interactions with the Joker, let alone his professional ones. And she takes advantage of that and says, we think you'd be the best equipped emotionally and career-wise to hunt him down. And they're offering $25 million to do so. And that's really encompasses the entire issue, is setting all of that up. You don't know who this woman is. That is to be discovered later, I suppose. But the Joker's not in this first issue until you get to the very last page. There's just a splash page reveal of him in this somewhere in South America, announcing how much fun everything's about to be, because he's reading a paper that's describing his attack on Arkham Asylum and the fact that he is now being hunted.
Please tell me he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a straw hat.
Well, there is some of that in there because it also pulls from that storyline, the Alan Moore, Brian Boland storyline.
Yeah,
that I just
Death in the Family.
Death in the
No.
Family. Yes. No, not Death in the Family. No, that's the Jim
we
McParr
are
one.
all three losing our damn
Yeah, we're gonna
licenses.
We're gonna get our cards pulled. Holy crap!
Yeah,
Hang on, I have a signed copy.
Killing
of it.
joke.
I'll be right back.
killing joke. Thank you.
Whew. That was close.
That was close.
Started getting a little sweaty there. But yeah, the final page. I mean, he's in the South American. So yeah, he's donning his lounge wear, his vacay cruise wear, I guess you would say. But yeah, I definitely recommend this book. Really good narrative, all from James Gordon's point of perspective, and feels very consistent with his character.
Yeah, I thought I had this book in my stack because I was told it was in my stack, and then I got home and it wasn't in my stack. So I'm looking at you, Jesse, because you told me it was in my stack. So I'll have to pick it up when I go back to the store. But yeah, sad I did not have this to read.
Hey guys, did you know it was The Killing Joke?
Yes.
Did you put us on like silence while you went and found it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I muted myself and then walked away. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you missed the part where I said Killing Joke.
I had faith that you would find it.
That's hilarious. Yeah, good. I'm gonna have to get this because I'm always intrigued by a good Joker story. I had heard somewhere that their intent was to make him a good guy.
Oh my god!
In this story,
why?
Yeah, I hope that's wrong.
Where did you hear
that? From rumors at the store.
There you go.
Yeah, if they in fact tried that, I hope it's his brand of craziness is a good guy. Like his whole thing is, we'll blow up Arkham because that'll get rid of the villains. You know, that sort of good guy mentality that the Joker would have. You know?
I mean, haven't they done stories like that in the past, though, to where he is not a good guy, but he's, gonna save the city from the bad bat, yada, yada, yada. I mean,
they've done it with Lex Luthor for sure.
Yeah. I'm not interested in that story.
That would be really stupid.
That's what it is.
I don't think that's what they're doing. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if it was going to be, it would be a brand of crazy good, if that makes sense. Like I said, his idea of being a good guy is blowing up Arkham and killing everybody in it because, kill all the bad guys that are in Arkham.
Matt, have I ever told you that I have a copy of The Killing Joke signed by Brian Boland?
Yeah, seems like you did tell me that.
Thought I'd just tell you that again.
Yeah, thanks.
Since Craig's talking about his Hulk 180, just go ahead and add some salt to that wound.
Yeah, why not, huh? It's Sunday. Why not fucking ruin it, huh?
Can I ask which cover you got? Did you get the regular cover or did you get one of the variants?
No, I got the regular cover.
Okay. Raphael Grandpa did one of the variant covers that was really cool. I didn't pick it up, but I should have. If I can find the cover, I may go ahead and get it. But there were some really cool covers to this story that I forget. I mean, they're doing that thing where they're producing way too many variants, but there's some really cool ones out there for this story.
Well, the thing about DC's variants versus Marvel's variants is DC's variants tend to be an equal amount. So it's not like you have to buy 25 comics to get the other one or whatever. They just have alternate covers more than variants.
Yeah. My thing with variants, if I don't find the variant on the shelf, I'm not getting the variant. I'm not doing that thing where your store has to order 140 copies of something to get the one cover.
Well, that's the thing with DC is they don't make them do that generally. Yeah. Generally, they can just order the variants.
Yeah. Well,
It's
based on their
usually like a
sales, nobody
50-50 split.
based on the way their books have been selling, not many of those variants would be achieved.
Right. Yeah.
A little bit of shade there at DC.
You
A little bit.
throwing shade? Not you. That's not in character for Matt.
One thing that I thought was pretty cool, you know how they do the blank variants with a white cover?
Yeah.
They did a green blank variant for this cover, for this book. I thought that was
cool.
kind of cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Maybe draw with some white out. That'd be cool. Well, all right. Well, dude, I'm gonna have to go pick this book up now because I missed it. So I like knowing that it's a story that doesn't necessarily completely focus on Joker. Keeping him just off the panel is always better, I think.
I think they're alone on that one.
Yeah, I think it depends on who's writing it and the story they're telling.
That's true. That's
like every other piece of work ever.
Yep. Matt throwing more shade. It's because he loves you, Caleb.
I don't believe you, but that's okay. Our love can be one way, even though I don't get invited to the hand holding and the group reads.
It's symbiotic hand holding.
Venomous, that's for sure.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Oh, see. Well, all right. Good books all around. Glad. Yeah. No, seriously, I'd go check those out. I'm ashamed of all of us but mostly for me, for the Killing Joke thing. I'm gonna go flog myself and ask for redemption.
I'm not, because Matt figured it out.
He did.
If we had like ended the show with none of us figuring it out, it would have been a sad day for Southern Fried Geekery.
Sad indeed.
Reminiscent of our trivia fiasco, which we totally got to do again. We absolutely need to do the trivia game again.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I feel like I could ask you guys the same questions and
we'd still miss them. Well, a lot of those were rooted in Spider-Man stuff, and that's not my strong suit. So I'm going to use that excuse, but
I don't think that's the case. But
yeah, no,
we'll let you use that excuse if you
whatever
want.
gets you to sleep at night there, bro.
That's called alcohol. We covered that earlier. All right. Well, as always, before we get out of here, I would really like to hear from you, gentlemen, about a book that's coming out next week that you're excited to read. New Comic Book Day is rolling around. It is a joyous occasion. And there are always new things coming out that maybe we've missed, we're not aware of, or that we think that those people who are at home listening to this show would do well to go pick up. So drop one of those on me. Tell me what you're going to read.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, this looks interesting. This caught my eye because this is a guy we've actually had on the show. Mr. Freddie Williams and Tim Seeley have a book coming out. Bequest #1. This is a high fantasy set in Chicago, Illinois. I'm not really sure. Yeah, and the timeline of this, because it's referred to as Tangia. So it's like Chicago, Illinois, Tangia. How exactly these two things intersect is interesting. But I flipped through the preview, the artwork was really compelling. I mean, gosh, man, it looks like Freddie Williams spent a lot of time on this artwork. This looks very, very labor heavy.
Yeah, the dude drops some great art in every book he works on. So
yeah.
Well, and I haven't seen him on anything since he did the Batman Turtles crossover. So maybe this is why. Maybe this is what he's been doing.
Yeah. This is from Aftershock Comics, by the way.
All right, Caleb, go ahead.
Well, give me just a second. I'm finding another book.
Okay. Well, I had picked 2, and one of them was that book. So I'll go ahead and use my other book since you didn't have it already picked.
Okay.
Because I figured 100% this was going to be your book. And that's Eros Psychie by Maria Lovitz. Coming out from Ablaze. And this is La Rosa's female boarding school is a paradise for young girls, but only if you follow the rules. Because if you disobey them, you can end up expelled, or even worse, dead. So it sounds like a typical Maria Lovett type story, but cover number 1 is done by Mirka Andolfo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't pick that book because I figured you were going to pick that book. So
I picked 2 books and I figured that you were going to pick that one, and I felt I was pretty safe on Bequest, but as it turns out, I was not.
Hey, there's there's a lot of
So what do you got?
We call that good taste. So I want to tell folks to go out there and pick up this book that's coming out of Dark Horse this week that I am really, really excited about. And it is called Orphan and the Five Beasts, from none other than an artistic wizard who is James Stokoe. I love that style. Like I said, I was talking about Raphael Grandpa earlier, and he's kind of in that same school. I just really dig it. But this is a brand new kung fu epic drawn by James Stokoe. He is, he's the same guy who did Aliens Dead Earth or Dead Orbit, if you haven't read that. So the synopsis is spurred on by her master's dying words, the adopted warrior Orphan Mo seeks to find and kill 5 former disciples who now threaten the land with corruption from their demonic powers. If you've never read a Stokoe book, the dude is detailed as all hell. His books, like they are so textured, it looks like if you rubbed your hands across the page, you'd get like rug burn. That's how textured they are. It is he puts so much detail and so much work into every single square inch of that page. It's redonkulous. Some of the most kinetic and vibrant art in the game today. I don't know how many bottles of ink he goes through per page, but it's got to be a lot. So I pick up most stuff he does just because it's brilliant. So I am excited to check this out. So Orphan.
So I'm not going to cheat, but I just noticed that Black Knight Curse of the Ebony Blade comes out, which is kind of cool, since I just talked about Black Knight a couple of weeks ago.
Not gonna cheat.
Yeah. not gonna talk about 2 books. Talks about 2 books.
Caleb needs 4 for his little deal. So.
I do, and I appreciate you looking out for me.
Also, I was absolutely looking out for you.
You're just benevolent. That's we would expect nothing less. Also, I was talking to our brother, our friend, the Mr. Bill Zanowitz of it all, who kind of confirmed something that we had a question about. They are calling it the Ebony Blade now.
Well, I would base that off of the fact that this title is called Curse of the Ebony Blade.
Well, that's what reminded me, but I know we had talked about it. But originally, it was called the Black Blade, so it's cool to see how that's changed over time.
Yeah, that's good information.
Answering questions, solving problems.
What we do here.
That is what we do. Actually, we leave the questions hanging, and eventually somebody answers them for us, like Billy Z.
That dude's a freaking encyclopedia.
Yeah, especially on DC stuff.
Yeah.
And this is a Marvel thing, and he knew it. So
just a font of knowledge. Cool stuff. Well, guys, do we have anything else we need to cover before we get out of here?
No, I think we got it. I
think we're good.
Craig wants everybody to know that the Snyder Cut comes out this week.
Yeah. You should definitely choose whether that's an interesting thing for you or not. Normally I would say you should definitely go watch that or whatever. I think the best I can do on this one is you just need to decide whether it's something you care about to do or not, even for free.
I expect we're going to get a daily text. 3 more days till the Snyder Cut, fellas. 2 more days.
I'll text you as I'm watching it, blow by below, if you want me to.
6 hours until the Snyder Cut, fellas.
You act like I've been harassing you for months about this. I just pointed out I was actually surprised. I saw an advertisement that it came out this week. I was just
harassment's just a matter of harassment's a matter of perspective.
Well, it's not like I've blown up your text with how many, hey, 8 days to Snyder.
It's not like we're getting, every 6 hours a reminder that the Dune movie's still not out.
Hey, that's completely different.
It's completely different, Caleb.
Yeah, no similarities there at all.
I'm looking out for your best interest here.
And we really appreciate it. We really do. So, if I'm ambivalent to this thing's existence, I don't care. I probably won't watch it unless I get drunk and bored. But I saw the.
Oh,
first
that's
one,
not likely to
travesty.
happen at all, is it, Craig?
Yeah, Caleb getting drunk and bored while Roger's at work.
Now
I can
hang
pretty
on.
much guarantee you that Caleb will be watching this by next Friday.
Exactly.
While I am regularly drunk, I am rarely bored. So
Yeah, but spring break's coming up.
I got a stack of comics I'm going to read, bro.
Yeah,
That TV ain't getting clicked. So
whatever.
all right.
I promise you, it's getting clicked Friday because
How did we start? Look, how did we get on talking about me? Let's go back to talking about Matt and his harassment.
because we diverted it from me. We've now taken on all of us. Friday we'll all be watching TV because Falcon and Winter Soldiers start.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Big facts. Big old facts. Faggity McFack facts.
All right.
I heard Mephisto's going to come.
Go forth and love some comics.
Woo! Craig's like, rip this Band-Aid off. God damn it.